Heidi ho, everybody. This is Lee Toms speaking from the Calgary Battletech League, and we are doing a quick and dirty interview with our friend, Bruce Ford, who happens to be the Battletech demo agent since about 2006, 18 years now. Hi, Bruce. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Enjoying the weather and not being in a smoky area.
Yeah, it's actually really nice in Alberta right now. This morning, when I got up, the smoke was cleared pretty heavily, like it was very clear. Yesterday, we could smell it in the air, but it wasn't too bad for visibility. But today is a lot better. So, anybody who knows anything about the Battletech scene in Calgary knows Bruce. He has been the Battletech demo agent since 2006, so about 18 years. And Bruce was the driving force and primary administrator for the Calgary Battletech League that operated from 2009 to 2013. Now, Bruce and I know each other very well. We were both the admins for that version of League and know each other from the original League as well. So, Bruce, we brought you here for a reason. What was that reason?
We have a brand new con called GamesCon Canada that is premiering in Calgary on June 23rd through 25th. What they are doing is a number of different things, and they're trying to go big, which is cool. We can link the website later, but one of the things that's happening is Catalyst Game Labs is actually sponsoring this convention. And if I remember correctly, the booth space size is around 3,000 square feet or 4,000.
Wow, that's huge.
It does fall apart pretty quick when you start throwing tables in there, but because we're going to be demoing some events directly at the booth and playing some events, I guess I should call it that rather than demoing. Habit after 18 years. But one of the things that's happening is not only is the booth being a big thing, we've got potentially Lauren Coleman showing up, the owner of Catalyst Game Labs. That at least was what I was aware of the last time it was discussed, and I know GameCon Canada was promoting that, but as happens when people who own companies, they tend to be needed everywhere at the same time. So that is subject to change. However, Randall Bills, a former line developer for Battletech and currently one of their problem solvers, is showing up, and he will be there, as will Rema Alternus, who is the new public relations and social media manager for Catalyst, as well as Lindander Studios, who are behind the Battletech Aces AI card deck that you've seen being showcased in various websites that first got launched with the Battletech Kickstarter for Mercenaries. They also run a webcast called Six Sides of Gaming, where every Friday they actually do run Battletech using the AI model to let people see what it's doing, among other things. They've taken over kind of the what would you call it? This sort of thing, the social aspect of recording stuff and putting it up on the website. So they've really kicked in there. But what's interesting about this is, yes, the plan is to have Catalyst Game Labs events at the con. They just recently announced that they're opening up a board game division themselves, and
Wow.
I believe I saw that they do intend to actually actively, properly using the term this time, demo some of their new games at the booth for that.
Oh, cool.
One of them is called Overlord in Training. It's supposed to be a really interesting game. I haven't checked it out myself, but limited time and everything else, because Battletech is a bit of an obsession when it comes to owning everything. And there may be Shadowrun there. I can't say, because right now I'm focusing on Battletech. So if we have an agent fly in who is interested in running Shadowrun, then we'll have Shadowrun 6. Otherwise, we are going to have a couple of Crossfire events, which is a cooperative card game that is really fun. And that's being run by a friend of mine who is coming out specifically to do that. Battletech will be a huge focus because of the Kickstarter recently that just finished up. And as such, we are going to have all the local agents, myself included, Paul, John, and Craig. Craig will be focusing on what's called Alpha Academy because he's taken over Alpha Strike and it's his baby right now. And that is a beginner's game specifically to teach people Alpha Strike. And he will be dealing with that. A few different agents, including people who are flying in from out of town, will be doing the Battletech boot camp, which is a quick little, here you go, here's how you play, here's the basics. And then once they've completed Battletech, the boot camp, including our coordinator for the Catalyst demo team will be there, as will her husband, who's the current writer of the worldwide event, and one will be coming later this year. As such, once you're finished the boot camp, you can play in the other two, I'll call them the large events. One is the official grinder, which is just a drop in, play, blow things up, and see how well you do, and just grind people down. And as you die, you replace your mech, or you go to your next event, and go and take a look at Deborah Ann Wool and whatnot for their. They're doing some stage thing that should be rather interesting. But the big event, and this is where I think everybody should show up, and unfortunately, the caveat here is this is what I know at the moment, and it may have already changed.
Yeah, everything's subject to change.
Yeah. And it is a brand new event premiering, never run by Catalyst before. We are showcasing this for the first time ever. It is called Raise Your Flag. It is a competitive event that runs in 2-hour time slots. Each of the 5 great houses are represented, and 2 players per house can compete in a given slot. We're going to have multiple tables of this so that you can have basically 5 different games of this running at the same time, with up to 10 players per table. There's a kill count, not as convoluted as what I was using at the launch party, so there will be less confusion, which is good. But at the end of 2 hours, everything gets scored, and your flag representing your great house will get raised or get lowered depending upon your performance. And at the end of the day, there will be, as far as I know, a daily faction winner. And then at the end of the con, there will be the overall house winner for the entire con. And it's all materials will be provided for all events. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending upon how you play it, mechs will be provided for you. Okay. And you will be randomly assigned them. And you'll have to go through the pile that is there before a new one gets, or a used one gets reintroduced, so you don't end up playing the same Tempest 4 times in a row. But I can say it looks really cool. I think we're using some of the new maps, or there might be custom maps. I'm not sure about that, but I know there's been at least a little bit of discussion in certain videos that I've watched about that potential. Whether or not it pans out, again, it depends upon a lot of things, because as they're learning, it's a pain to ship internationally across borders, especially when Canadian customs comes into play.
Oh yeah. So you got me interested. I wanted to yell 50 points to Gryffindor, to House Gryffindor when you said that. Raise my flag, but the host flag. No, that's awesome. Actually, I guess it would be 50 points to Host Davian. But
yep. And depending upon the turnout, you can play more than one slot. Okay. It goes all day long till the official close. There will be unofficial gaming.
And which day is it slotted right now for?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay, so those of us like myself that probably can only be there Sunday, we still have a chance to play in that.
Yes. Every slot is important. Right now, each slot will be 2 hours in length. That is subject to change because the convention may put restrictions on event length, but or slot length, I should say. But you get to compete, and it looks like it could be a lot of fun. I'm actually excited about it. I'm kind of wishing I wasn't helping run it, and even though my dice have not been good against you for the last 4 games, I'd like to go in and kick some butt and blow a few heads off. But that's just me.
We got to play again. It's been too long. Like I know we're getting into it where we're playing almost every 2 weeks, and it was starting to be a lot of fun. Like I was really getting into that. We did some Mega Mech gaming, stuff like that. No, did you and I ever play Mega? Yes, we did. We played Mega Mech.
Yes, we did. Yep. I've got so much rust on Mega Mech, especially since the last version I used was like 30 cycles ago.
Yeah.
30 versions ago.
So anybody who doesn't know, there's daily and weekend tickets. The daily tickets for adults are $45, youth is $36, children is $12, and a daily pass for a family is $95. For the weekend, the adult pass is $108, child is $30, and youth is $87. So it's relatively affordable. Like if you're going for the whole weekend, $108 isn't bad for the amount of gaming that you get to do. And that just gets you in the door. And I don't know. I think you were saying earlier that the Warhammer stuff might have an entry fee, but you're not thinking that there's anything for Battletech.
The Warhammer one does definitely have a fee. I think some of the other events, the special stage shows, may have fees as well. When it was discussed initially, Battletech was likely going to be free, but ultimately it is up to the con whether or not they charge ticket prices for events. We have no control over that. Just like if the store decides to charge for table use.
Yeah, exactly. It's also subject to change. Everything I've said right now could change by the time the weekend comes. More than likely, the door prizes or the door costs to get in are probably going to stay the same, but individual events may change. But yeah, I just wanted to give everybody a little bit of a heads up. So you were saying, you and I've talked a little bit before this interview, and we'll go there. Is there any form of planned prize support?
That I know of, no.
Okay.
But I do know it's under discussion. I don't know beyond that. If there is prize support, it will likely be linked to Raise Your Flag, but I don't know whether or not there'll be participation prizes, just to say that you were there, kind of like one of those patches that they give out for you were in this campaign.
Hey, that is actually a huge thing. People really underestimate how precious those campaign badges and stuff like that are. And you know what? Local bragging rights is just as good as an actual prize, right? Being able to say, like when they used to go out the blood names that nobody really ever remembers, except for the people involved in the event. Mm-hmm. Right? It's still important. It's still local bragging rights. So it's still great. Like no prize support is still a prepared, provided event is as good as a prize.
Well, here's the thing. Calgary and anybody who shows up and plays in Raise Your Flag, you were the inaugural players. Mm-hmm. Nobody else can take that from you. Yep. And you got to play the first iteration of this event that is going to be one of the mainstream events for Catalyst going forward.
That's awesome.
They really want to make this thing a flagship. And going back to prize support, there could even be daily prizes at the end. So they might be asking people for ways to contact them so that prizes can be made. And again, same thing for the winning house at the end of the weekend. It could be there. I know it was being discussed. But again, due to certain things, it may be decided that there is none. I can't say for sure. I just know that it was discussed as an option.
Prizes aren't that big of a deal. Like Calgary Battletech League, our prizes are minimal, right? Yeah. Like you win stuff, you get your recognition on the trophies or on the plaque and stuff like that. Battletech players really overall don't care about prizes. It makes it, no, it does. They don't, right? There is people who it's very important to. It's very important to walk away with something. With other people, they just want to show up and roll dice.
And that's a lot of what the leadership of CGL does tend to view it as, is people just want to play Battletech and have fun. So they'll show up to play. And for the most part, that's accurate in certain places. In other places, not entirely so, but that depends upon how active of a Battletech scene you've got in any given community. So, but one thing I will mention, again, pending upon the wonderful joys of shipping, there were plans to bring the inflatable Uppbeat.
Ooh.
And so that may either be outside the BMO or it may be inside the BMO, depending upon ceiling clearances and everything that goes
That's
with
awesome.
it. And again, what the cost is and the difficulties of getting across the border, because again, Canadian Customs has this wonderful habit of just randomly picking stuff and holding it for weeks on end, and that's a problem.
Yeah, that can be a problem. It shuts so many things down because it is hard to get stuff across the border. Now, Bruce, I have one more question before you continue on with what you're doing, because this is a very important one. Is there going to be any con exclusives?
I don't know. But given that they've got the booth going, there's probably going to be the chance to get items that haven't made it to the public stores yet. And there may even, and this is just me spitballing here, they may even bring in a couple of the upcoming force packs that are supposed to be local stores, like the Proliferation Pack, the Derby Lance Pack. They may show up because, generally speaking, at most of these cons that are tier 1 or tier 2, they bring in stuff that don't see regular public shelf space for a couple months, even 6 months, and yet they're they're available at the con. Now the problem there is they tend to sell out like the very first night the con opens up and they're gone. That happened at Adepticon really shockingly, and so they ended up having to bring in more stuff. I forget what it was, but they ended up getting it in on, it was either the Saturday or the Sunday, and it was sold out again a couple hours later. So
it just means everybody who's listening, get your tickets early, get there Friday when you can. And if you've got if you're like me and you can't make it there on the first day, talk to somebody to pick something up for you. I'm quite sure they're going to have a limit, if there is any exclusives, how many one person can purchase, but they might let you buy 2. And if they let you buy 2, you can help out a buddy.
Exactly.
And if there are no exclusives, it's a tier 2 event. We're being put on the map for Catalyst as Calgary being one of the premier locations. If we can do a great turnout and prove to them that we can be a tier 2 or whatever, something they really want to keep coming back, we're going to keep seeing this stuff. And if we can make a good showing, it makes everything better. And as always, we're always just trying to grow the brand and grow the community.
If we make a good showing, they will be back next year. So I would really appreciate, love me or hate me, because I know there's a few of you that have always agreed with my calls. Regardless of that, come out. If you can afford to, come out even for one day, raise your flag, and make them know that Calgary is a Battletech community, and that not just that, Calgary is a great city as a host, because this helps the city too, and so many other vendors, so many other businesses. You do not realize the actual ripple effect of having this support. I'm not going to call it it's the Calgary Stampede, but it's the same basic effect, because people, provided they're not gaming 18 hours of the day and then going back to their hotel rooms and collapsing, they've got the opportunity to explore the city. And one of the fellows that's part of, and I forget what it's called, but it's a popular podcast, and he's showing up. He's part of the crew that Deborah Ann Wool is, and he's planning to show up with his cowboy boots because he heard it was cowboy country. And I told him he needs to stick around for 2 more weeks because Calgary Stampede's happening. And he's like, unfortunately, I can't, but I've heard of it. And I'm like, well,
everyone's heard of the Calgary Stampede.
Yeah.
So speaking of Calgary making a big showing, I actually want to throw this out to the Edmonton Battletech League and the Edmonton players and Alberta players in general. Show up, drive down, right? You can buy your tickets online, come down. A lot of you know a lot of us. We may be able to help with some accommodations. You never know. Or Airbnbs are great for getting accommodations as well. If I challenge you guys to actually show up with more of your members than we show up with our members.
There may be others from Catalyst showing up. I don't have the full list. That being said, Bryn Randall's son is likely going to be there as well, and he has been involved heavily, if I remember correctly, in the relaunch of the Leviathans miniatures game.
I'd heard that's coming out. I saw some stuff on Facebook about that, and I was like, I thought that game was shelved, but the hearing that it's coming out, that is awesome. I'm glad they're getting that product out because it's good for the company, good for Battletech. The healthier the company, the better Battletech does as well.
And it'll be interesting to see what we get. It's going to be a little bit interesting because of how the timing of this all came together. But this is one of the reasons why I'm doing this, is to reach people and say, there are events. Yeah, they may not yet be up on the website. I don't know, because like I said, it could be behind the ticket paywall. But pay attention to what I post in the Facebook groups or various Discord groups, and I will do updates or Paul will. Paul is the point person on this. He's been really great. He's probably going to be one of the main active agents taking over my spot as I step back. And overall, one of the two of us will post what's going on as we get information.
Paul did an amazing job in the Kickstarter. You all did, but Paul was an absolute superstar. So I know that he's going to do a good job of it because he has the passion for the gaming and the community. So just as much as all of you have, he stood out. Right? Everybody did a great job, but he stood out.
Yeah, well, I'm the old gunslinger that's worn down to the nubs, and just I'm the tired professional going, okay, let the young kids use their energy. I'm going to conserve mine and go and sip cola over here and go from there.
Just watch and enjoy. That's awesome, Bruce. I love the fact that we have this coming to Calgary, as well as the fact that it's just showing more life and showing more interest, and hopefully that the Calgary and Alberta Battletech community has at least caught the attention of the company, right? Because that means that outside of the United States has shown impressive growth. Mm-hmm. So that's fantastic. Anyway, Bruce, thank you so much. This was a wonderful interview. It was great always talking to you. We will get a game in soon, whether it's on the table or on Megamech. You're looking amazing. Nobody else can see him. He and I are on camera, but Bruce and I have been friends for 25 years or so. So
1999.
Almost 25 years.
Yeah.
So it's been amazing. Bruce, thank you so much.
Yeah, you take care. Thanks again for doing this.
Always. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.